The clock is ticking in the season finale, which finds Loki and Sylvie on a date with destiny. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing Loki Episode 6. Now, this is going to be a spoiler review because there's really not any way to review it without doing spoilers. Excuse me. So we'll jump right in. Episode 6 begins with a variety of different speeches. As they're doing the whole Marvel logo, they're going in to show it. And you get to hear, like, Captain America, Iron Man, and, like, several other voices, like, even Thor's, I believe. And it's actually really kind of cool. I do like the opening of this, compared to just the different letters from Loki as they're changing. Sylvie and Loki end up walking up to the Citadel in this. And they pause for a moment because Sylvie's, she needs a moment to compose herself. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to do. I still don't really think that her and Tom Hiddleston have really that a lot of chemistry to me on screen. It seems a little forced. To me anyways, it feels a little forced how they're, liking each other and things like that, even though they're supposed to be the same person and stuff. But I haven't really read a lot of the comics for, like, Loki or anything like that, so I can't tell you if they are or if they're not. But when they enter, Mrs. Minutes is there, and she offers them a deal from the one left at the end or something like that, or what does she call him? The one who's left. So we really get to see that things are rolling and that they're trying to stop this, what Sylvie is trying to do, and delete the person at the end. So further in, we end up meeting Kang the Conqueror. And he's not like the Kang from the comic books. This is a variant of Kang. And apparently this is the nicer version of him. So they go to his office and sit down with them. And we get a big info dump here. And we get a little show on the desk from him using his, like, watch or whatever it is. That shows, like, the different versions of him coming together and, sharing technology and things like that with each other, but not all of them were good, like him and some of the others. So we really get to see this big, or get told this big info dump, which I would have rather had seen, to be quite honest with you. I'm not a big fan of when they just talk about things instead of kind of showing it. Like, there are times where we do get flashbacks, and things like that real quick, but this should have been one of those moments. And lately they've just been kind of few and far between. So I wasn't really too keen on that, but it still wasn't bad. It just, I would rather be shown stuff than just told. But he offers them a deal to either take over the whole thing, and carry on his life's work so he can kind of retire, because you can see he's a little nutty from just being the only person there, which, I mean, couldn't you bring other people around and, make it a little, make it like the headquarters, you got to go see the boss, you got to have special permission type stuff versus just being there by himself. I mean, to me, that just kind of, but it made it a little more cool, kind of, because this variant is definitely, like I said, like a little nutty. So, and he's really tired and wants to just go on and just do something else. Or they can delete him and unleash a multiverse of other Kangs that are worse. And we don't even get the name Kang. He just talks about how he's been, he went by different names, including the Conqueror. So we do know this is a version of Kang because of that. And Sylvie wants to kill him while Loki's really not so sure if this is a good idea, and he's like, let's think about this. He's like, let's figure out what's going to happen if we do this, first. And Sylvie's like, no. So they inevitably fight, and Sylvie wins and pushes Loki through a time door back to the TVA. And I kind of was like, really? I was like, she couldn't just calm down a little bit, but she's been looking forward to this throughout through her entire life, trying to figure out who this person was and take revenge on him, basically. So she wasn't going to listen to anybody. And I think it does show that her betraying, it's not even really a betrayal, but like her taking advantage of Loki's feelings really just kind of made it a little bit more cruel to him. So, I mean, and it'll be interesting to see how this all affects everyone else on Earth and all our other heroes, really. Like, like a lot, I know like a lot of people have been saying, like, it seems like everything's been in a time loop, but we're not, it's not really clear just yet. And I think it'll be like quite interesting to see if anything changes, especially from the movies that we've had already. You know what I mean? And coming, with the other movies that are coming out. So I'm definitely interested in to see, like, especially like how it affects the Eternals. And I believe there's a Spider-Man coming out, Doctor Strange 2. So this will tie into Doctor Strange 2 and Multiverse of Madness. But like the Eternals and some of the other ones that are still to come out, I'm interested in to see how it all ties in. But this episode ends with Loki talking to Mobius and Hunter B-15, but they don't know who he is. So this is a completely different timeline that she put him in. So will we get back to the right timeline for him or not? We have to wait and find out. But Loki has been a bit of a rough ride at times in this. But in this finale, there's a lot of exposition, and it kind of brings everything together in it. So I thought that was kind of a neat way to end this. And I think, again, a lot of the stuff I think they should have shown. Not just have a little tiny, set of stuff changing on his desk to look at. I think we should have actually had like a flashback moment. It would have been a lot better for all the exposition. Because, again, this episode really wasn't action-packed. It was more getting everybody up to speed and telling everybody what's been happening and what's going to happen if they delete this version of Kang. So really, it was an interesting way to end it. I don't think this was one of the strongest shows that Marvel's done. I do like WandaVision better, but this still wasn't overall that bad of a season. Again, there were, it was rough at times, especially when they were on Lamentus, I believe. That was episode 3, and that was a terrible episode. That was a terrible episode. We'll just leave it at that. Again, the effects in this, amazing. Now, the acting in this was still good. I like how Kang was a little crazy. Loki and Sylvie relationship still was a little forced. I don't know if he fell in love with her or not. Like, everybody's saying that he did. And, like, they fell in love with each other. But I don't know. I think Loki's really just more enamored with her. That's like the impression I get out of it. Like he's like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're just so awesome, and it's so awesome to be around you and stuff. And I feel like I can do more. And that's like the kind of impression I get from from like their whole vibe that they give off. Even though I don't really think that there's much chemistry between them, it's really kind of a weird thing to do. Especially if they are the same person. If she's a Loki and he's a Loki, they basically are falling in love with themselves. I mean, I mean, I guess when you're a narcissist, you could do that. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. But the final episode sets things up for Phase 4 as well. So it looks like to me that Kang will be the big bad in Phase 4 at some point. So I don't know if they're going to have like other bad guys come in, but he's going to be the main bad guy. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But we also get some decent character growth for Loki across this season, which I actually did like. He did a lot of character growth. Like, not a lot, but he did a fair amount of character growth. And, like, some of it wasn't good, but some of it wasn't bad at all. I actually kind of like that. But Sylvie has been a much more mixed bag. She hasn't really seemed like she has had any character growth because she was stuck on the whole revenge thing. So, and this obviously is going to come back for season 2. They did a mid-credit scene for that. So, I'm just wondering how that's going to tie in, if they're going to do that just before the Multiverse of Madness and then tie it into Doctor Strange 2, or what they're going to do for that. But we'll see. I would give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. Overall, for the series, I would give it at least a 7.5 out of 10 for the whole season. Again, it was a mixed bag, and some of it wasn't very good. Especially episode 3 was a terrible episode. The dialogue in it was awful. The dialogue in this was better, but we should have seen the info dump, not get told it. That was my biggest peeve about this episode. So if you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and also subscribe. Take care for now, everybody.